Did you know that the world's first hotel, the Nishiyama Onsen Keiunkan in Japan, that's a mouthful, isn't it? That hotel has been run by the same family, for over 50 generations. Whoa! Now that is some serious hospitality history. And actually, it kind of reminds me of this bow tie. I know you're going, how's he gonna do that? Well, look, hotels are all about the small details, just like when you're tying a bow tie. There's the welcome, the attitude, the way people speak to you. Well, it's the same thing when you speak English. The details matter, especially in real situations like checking into a hotel. You know, years ago, yeah, I'm talking decades ago, I managed the front desk of a boutique hotel in Chicago, downtown Chicago. Great place to work. And something I can tell you from that experience is that the guests who had the smoothest check-ins weren't the ones with perfect English, even though most of our guests were native speakers. But there are certain patterns that are common no matter where you go. And when you learn the patterns of the hotel check-in and check-out process, by learning these simple, clear expressions, it makes the whole process stress-free. No complicated vocabulary involved. There's nothing to worry about. It's just learning those patterns, and that builds your confidence knowing what to say. So think about your last hotel experience. Did you feel confident, or did you feel like you were trying to solve a puzzle? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to give you the patterns so that every hotel conversation that you have feels easy, predictable, and comfortable. So stick around, because tonight we're going to make all these hotel conversations easy and natural and stylish. And you don't want to miss the Mastery Minute at the end, because I'm going to tie it all together. So like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to drop your questions in the chat so I can answer them after the show. Are you ready? Let's jump into it, and I'll tell you more about Hannah. So Hannah, she travels for work all the time. Smart and friendly and really good at her job, but every time she would check into a hotel overseas, she felt nervous. I don't know why. She said, "Dennis, I feel like the staff is going to ask me something that I don't understand." And then the whole conversation gets awkward. Does that sound familiar to you? Well, one night she arrived at a Bangkok hotel. She's tired from the flight. The receptionist asked, would you like to put a card on file for incidentals?" Uh-oh, Hannah froze. She didn't know what incidentals were. What are they talking about? Were they talking about snacks, minibar damages, or something else? And so she just nodded. But later on, she told me, she said, "Dennis, I realized I never actually learned what incidentals meant." Well, here's a quick tip for you. In case you're wondering if you've ever wondered what are incidentals at a hotel, those are the small extra charges like the minibar, the room service, any accidental damage, things like that. So the hotel will just hold your card just in case, and then it'll release the unused amount after the checkout. So once Hannah understood that, well, her confidence started to go up. That was her wake-up call, though. Hotel conversations get easier when you know the patterns and the key phrases. So let's break down the most common hotel conversations and the simple English patterns that make them easy. All right, in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk through the real phrases that you're going to hear and the ones you'll want to use so you can check in, make requests, solve problems, and I'll even show you how to ask for upgrades without stress. So think of this like your hotel English toolkit. Once you know the patterns, then every conversation becomes easier and smoother and way more predictable. So let's get into it. Okay, the check-in conversation. This is a simple, natural thing. Let's start with the big one, okay? Checking in. Hotel staff usually follow a predictable pattern, and once you know the pattern, the conversation becomes easy. Here's the typical flow. They give you a greeting. Then they ask you for your name or your reservation details. Then they confirm all of that. And then they explain the basics like, breakfast, lunch, Wi-Fi, checkout time, and things like that. So, let's walk through it step by step. Okay? Welcome. Do you have a reservation? Oh, you say, yes, it's under Hannah Kim or whatever your name is. And then they may say, may I see your passport or ID? Now, if you're traveling internationally, they're definitely going to ask you for a passport. So there you go. You give them the passport. Now, they're going to ask you something like, will you be paying with the same card, or would you like to use a different card? The question sometimes goes, will you be paying with the same card you used to book? And you might say, sure, yeah, that's fine. Or actually, I'd like to use a different card. Okay? Simple, right? And then they'll go over the basics of the hotel. They'll give you your room key and all of that stuff, and you can be on your merry way. Now, as for the payment, that part can actually change depending on how you're traveling. If your company paid in advance, the hotel may have already set up billing, and they'll just ask for a card to cover those incidentals. Whereas if you booked personally, they may just charge everything for the full stay right when you arrive. Don't worry, the phrasing is still the same, even if the payment situation is different. So these are very simple, predictable patterns, and once you practice them, your confidence will go up immediately. So now let's move on to the part that everybody worries about, making requests. Politely, of course. Okay, Hotel English is all about, just like business English, it's all about polite requests. Not too strong, not too weak, just friendly and natural. So the key phrases that you're going to use here again and again are things like, could I have? Or could you please? Is it possible to? Or do you happen to have? So for example, you might say, could I have an extra towel? Or an extra pillow? Could you please send someone to fix the air conditioner? If you've ever stayed in the hot room, this is a big one, for me especially. Is it possible? Is it possible to get a room on a higher floor? Or do you happen to have a phone charger or a toothbrush or something like that? Phone chargers, those are common amenities that they have little extras, so you don't have to worry about asking for those things. Okay? And look, these patterns work everywhere, from Seoul to Singapore to San Francisco. But what about problems? Because even the best hotels have problems. I know, I've been there. I've worked inside them. Trust me. So here's where a lot of learners, a lot of non-native speakers, they get stressed. But with 3 patterns, you can handle any issue politely. So pattern number 1 is you start with a softener. Something to soften. This comes across as polite. So you might say something like, I think there might be a small issue. Or, I'm not sure, but I think something's wrong with. It softens so it doesn't sound like a complaint. Then, pattern 2, describe the problem clearly. The air conditioner isn't working. There seems to be a mistake with my reservation. Something like that. Pattern number 3, ask for help. Okay, that's the last part. Could someone take a look at it? Or is there anything we can do to fix this? Simple, right? 3 parts, just like that. And then we put it together. We say, hi, You're on the phone. I think there might be a small issue with my room. The air conditioner isn't working. Could someone please take a look at it? See? Simple. Clear and soft and confident. Nothing to worry about. All right. Now we're going to talk about how you get that upgrade. Upgrades. Here's the strategy, okay? And this is a trick that most people don't use, so it's going to blow you away. But it works beautifully. Instead of asking for an upgrade in a way that pressures the hotel to say yes, because trust me, you're not talking to a manager most oftentimes. You're just talking to the front desk clerk. Try asking in a way that makes it easy for them to say no politely. And now you're looking at me like, why would I want them to say no? Because it often leads to a yes. So here's the pattern, one of the patterns. You say, would it be unreasonable to ask? Now, why does that work? Well, it works because people actually find it easier to say no than to say yes. I don't know why. But giving them a comfortable path to decline, you lower the pressure. And once they say no, it wouldn't be unreasonable. They've basically agreed that your request is perfectly reasonable. Ha-ha! It's reverse psychology. And so now you've brought them onto your side before the real decision even happens. So, for example, you might say, would it be unreasonable to ask for a room with a better view? Or how about, would it be unreasonable to ask for a later checkout? Or would it be unreasonable to ask if any complimentary upgrades are available? Now, the second strategy is very similar. It works just as well and sometimes even better. And it's, is it impossible? Is it impossible? Now, this uses the same reverse psychology. People find it easier to say no. And when they respond with, no, it's not impossible, they've already stepped into agreement with you. In that moment, they've acknowledged that your request is reasonable and totally possible, and the whole conversation becomes much smoother. For example, you might say, is it impossible to get a room on a higher floor? Same question. Is it impossible to get a late checkout? So the phrasing is soft and clever, believe it or not, and it's incredibly effective, especially if the hotel does have flexibility. If they've got rooms available, they'll work with you. Okay? It doesn't hurt to ask. All right, now it's time for you and me to practice together. And this one's simple. Just repeat after me, because yes, you got to speak out loud. I'm serious here. Your mouth needs the practice because it goes into your brain and makes those little neural connections. So here we go. First off, hi, I have a reservation under, and then say your name, under Dennis Wilborn. Okay? Easy, right? How about this one? Hi, could I have an extra key, please? See, got to put the please in there. Good. All right. Now you say this next one too. Is it impossible to get a late checkout? Okay. Now we've got a complaint. Uh-oh. I think there might be a small issue. Could someone take a look at the air conditioner? There you go. You try it yourself. Simple and natural. Real English. You can use this anytime you're traveling, which may be tomorrow. I don't know. So I want to get ready to wrap things up, but I want you to remember, you don't have to be perfect to communicate well. Hotel English or any English, it's not about flawless grammar or sounding like a native speaker. It's about being clear, being polite, and giving yourself permission to learn as you go. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Every small conversation is practice. So every phrase that you try is going to make you move forward. That's progress. And every small win builds your confidence. Trust me, you are doing better than you think. So keep going. All right. Now, your challenge for tonight. Take 2 minutes. Close your eyes and visualize your next hotel experience from start to finish. So imagine walking up to the front desk, the lights, the sounds, the welcome, then practice the entire conversation out loud with yourself. Check in, make a request, solve a small problem, even asking for an upgrade. When you rehearse the full scene, your brain starts to feel calm and confident and ready. Boom, you're ready to go. Then, if you want more, check out the full blog posted down in the comments or in the description for more examples and conversation patterns. And if you want to master real-life English confidently, not classroom English, check out Mastering English for Busy Professionals. The link is in the description. It's the step-by-step system that helps you speak clearly, naturally, and confidently in real situations. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. And now's the time to drop those questions in the chat, because now it's time for the Mastery Minute. Are you ready? Oh, we're about a minute over time, but that's okay. We're going to catch up right now. So the Mastery Minute phrase of the day has a real surprising royal backstory. Have you ever noticed why or wondered why hotel staff around the world say "at your service," even though they're not your actual servants? Well, this expression, "at your service," actually is centuries old. Way back in the 1200s, it used to refer to servant language. We're basically saying, "I am your servant." Then in the 1600s, people used to use phrases like, "I'm your humble servant," as a very polite greeting, not because they were literally servants, but because it was the fashionable way to show respect. Over time, "at your service" survived as the friendliest version of that idea. It's a quick and elegant way to say, "Hey, I'm here to help you." And that's what it means. It literally means, "I'm happy to assist you. Just tell me what you need." So, when I worked as the front office manager, guests used to light up when they heard this phrase. Not because they needed anything fancy, just because it made them feel taken care of. It's a little phrase, but it does have a big impact. So you might hear this when you're checking in at the front desk, and they'll say, "If you need anything during your stay, we are at your service." So that's it. Hospitality and communication share the same heart, making people feel supported. So use this phrase, and suddenly you sound warm, confident, and ready to help. And the next time someone asks you for assistance, try replying, "Sure, I'm at your service." It's classic, it's charming, and it works. So that's a wrap for today's episode 98. We're almost to 100. It helps. We figured out how to check in smoothly, make polite requests, solve problems without stress, even asking for upgrades, and use real English you'll hear in hotels everywhere. So next time, we're going to explore something every professional needs: how to speak with confidence, even when the pressure is on. And until then, keep your bow tie straight and stay curious. I am Dennis Wilborn, and this has been 15 Minute Mastery. I'll see you next time.